The sky is sometimes silent, and sometimes something grows within that silence, an idea, a dream, a revolution. This story was born from such silence, a calling that began in the heart of one of the world's most powerful businessmen, but one that no one heard for years. A story of a dream Jeff Bezos built step by step, slowly, without ever rushing, as he looked at the sky in his childhood. The name of this story, Blue Origin. And this story is not just the story of a rocket company. It is the story of two giant visions trying to shape the future of humanity, a silent rivalry, and two opposing philosophical universes. On one side is Elon Musk, fiery, fast, aggressive, a warrior aiming for Mars. On the other side is Jeff Bezos, planned, calm, patient, an architect who wants to turn space into a civilization. Here before you is the deepest, most striking, most cinematic story of these two giant visions that will determine humanity's destiny in space. Everything begins in childhood. Some children look at the sky and see a star. Others look at the sky and see a path. Jeff Bezos' childhood was spent in the vast deserts of New Mexico. At night, the stars were so bright that the sky felt less like a curtain and more like a doorway. While NASA's Apollo missions were being shown on television, little Jeff wasn't just seeing a landing, he was seeing a future. One day, he stared at a magazine for a long time. It had rocket drawings, lunar colonies, space stations. He turned to the people nearby and said, "One day we will live here." This wasn't a child's fantasy. It was like a prophecy of a future he would one day build his life upon. The little Jeff of that day would one day build the world's largest company and invest all his wealth into humanity's space future. But no one knew yet. On the other side of the world, there was another child, Elon Musk. He too was looking at the sky, but he saw something different. Bezos saw a future in the sky. Musk saw an escape in the sky. Bezos: "We must go to space to save the Earth." Musk: "We must go to space to escape the Earth." This is where the seeds of two different visions were planted. One saw space as an economy, the other saw space as a colony. These two different philosophies would create all the differences between Blue Origin and SpaceX years later. In the year 2000, Bezos, in the midst of Amazon's growth, founded a company without telling anyone, Blue Origin. Of course, it was striking for an internet billionaire to say, "We will go to space." But Blue Origin was not striking. On the contrary, it was extraordinarily silent. For almost 5 years, the company announced nothing. No press conference was held. There were no leaks, no launch demonstrations. The world didn't even know Blue Origin was a space company. Jeff Bezos explained his method like this: "Silence is the protector of big ideas." What was Elon Musk doing at the time? Musk had founded SpaceX, invited all the cameras, showed the construction process of Falcon 1, live-streamed every attempt, and openly shared every failure with the world. SpaceX was speaking loudly. Blue Origin was wrapped in deep silence. SpaceX exploded, tried again, exploded again, tried again. Blue Origin worked quietly, tested, debugged, waited for the perfect versions. This is how the philosophies of these two companies diverged. SpaceX, crazy speed. Blue Origin, perfect step. Musk's motto, speed is dangerous but necessary. Bezos's motto, slowness is dangerous but necessary. Within this sentence lies all the difference between the two geniuses. Under Blue Origin's logo is a phrase, gradatim ferocator. Latin, it means step by step, but ferociously. This wasn't just a motto, it was a working law. Bezos explained it like this: space does not forgive mistakes. Even the smallest detail can be fatal. That's why we move step by step, but take each step with relentless determination. Blue Origin's engineers were raised within this culture. Not speed, but accuracy. Not showmanship, but craftsmanship. Not taking risks, but eliminating them. This engineering culture would later manifest in the success of New Shepard. Kandy Blue Origin's first true rocket, New Shepard, was hidden from the world for years. Tests were carried out behind closed doors. No footage was released. There were no leaks. The space community knew the rocket existed but didn't know what it looked like. And then one morning in 2015, the world was shocked. Blue Origin announced that it had successfully flown New Shepard. More importantly, the rocket had performed a vertical landing for the first time, the same year as SpaceX. But Blue Origin succeeded earlier. The difference is that SpaceX attempted this in front of the entire world, with an army of cameras. Every explosion became a headline. Blue Origin did it in one go, silently, without explosions, without spectacle. The world thought Blue Origin built a rocket to carry tourists into space. But this wasn't true. New Shepard was not a tourism project. It was a training platform, the infrastructure of humanity's space safety. Bezos had been defining it this way from the very beginning. New Shepard is not a product. It is a rehearsal. This is where the story deepens. SpaceX had already become a giant leader in space transport. Falcon 9 going to NASA, Dragon carrying humans to the ISS, Starship tests shaking the sky. Meanwhile, Blue Origin still appeared to be at the beginning of its journey. But this was merely an appearance, because Blue Origin was in a different race. SpaceX, Mars's colony. Blue Origin, space's economy. SpaceX wants to migrate. Blue Origin wants to build SpaceX. Humanity must become multiplanetary. Blue Origin, trillions of humans must live in space. Blue Origin's plan was not short-term, it was centurial. Blue Origin was planning a future where people live on the moon, farm in O'Neill cylinders, move Earth's industry into orbit, generate energy from space. That's why New Glenn wasn't built hastily like Starship. It was being built like a cathedral. Jeff Bezos often said, "Space projects are not startups. They are the construction of a civilization." New Glenn is Blue Origin's true face, a 7-meter wide, fully reusable giant rocket, a colossus powered by BE-4 methane engines. This rocket is not the competitor of Falcon 9, it is the counterpart of Starship. But there were delays. The BE-4 engine was tested for years and redesigned. Leaks, malfunctions, iterations. The world grew impatient, criticized. Elon Musk launches rockets every month, and Blue Origin is still waiting, they said. Bezos' answer was again the same. We are building systems that cannot afford mistakes. New Glenn is not just a rocket, it will be a platform for the space industry. This rocket will carry materials to the moon for NASA's Artemis project, launch Amazon's Kuiper satellites, transport parts of future O'Neill habitats. In Bezos' eyes, New Glenn was like the first truck of the space economy. Two people, two worldviews. Musk, we either leave Earth or we go extinct. Bezos, let's not leave Earth, let's protect it. Let's move heavy industry into space. Musk, the red of Mars. Bezos, the blue of Earth. These two colors represent two different futures, but perhaps the future will be born in the union of these two colors. One day, when a colony is built on Mars, Blue Origin may carry the energy infrastructure of that colony. One day, when cities are built on the moon, New Glenn may deliver the materials for those cities. One day, when O'Neill stations are built around Earth, Blue Origin may launch the first modules of those stations. This rivalry is not hostility, it is the rivalry of architects. The Blue Origin may still appear silent today. Its number of launches may be low. It may not compete with Musk's media power. But to understand this story, we must remember this. Some projects last a year, some last a lifetime, some are preparations for a civilization. Blue Origin falls into the third category. Bezos' dream, trillions of humans will live in space, and we will move the economy from Earth to the sky. This vision does not fit into a single lifetime. That's why Blue Origin does not rush, because what it is building is not a rocket, it is a future. Look at the sky, the blue silence, Deep, calm, waiting power. Some revolutions shout, some happen in silence. SpaceX may be a storm tearing through the sky, but Blue Origin is like a continent rising from beneath the ocean, silent, heavy, inevitable. And perhaps one day, hundreds of years from now, people walking through giant cities in space will remember that this silent revolution once began as a small idea in the deserts of New Mexico. A man looked at the sky and said, "More is possible," step by step, but ferociously.